We are just losing so many favorite actors and actresses, the ones that I grew up with, and I feel like it's just going to keep ramping up. And it's a little later in the evening now. By the way, welcome to Doc in the Den. Thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Andrea O'Connor. So I just put a video out on my other channel called Dr. Andrea O'Connor on Lonnie Anderson and the ghost she saw, because I was thinking about Lonnie Anderson because, again, she was just one of those women I looked up to as a gullible child teenager. I just loved images of beautiful women that were seen as smart and not just ditzy airheads. I love saying, oh, by the way, I'm in my room. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I thought I'm going to put this out tonight. No, I don't bring a microphone in into me when into my room when I go to sleep, but nobody can hear me without this microphone. So here we are. Well, okay. So August 6th, we lost Lonnie Anderson, and I talked about that she saw a ghost in Jane Mansfield's house. If you haven't seen that video I just put out today. But guess what? I talked about Burt Reynolds, how they were together for quite a long time. And there's a paranormal story with Burt Reynolds too, which we're going to get into in just a second. But I kind of wanted to go through the celebrities we've lost recently. So Ozzy Osbourne, 76 years old. We lost him July 22nd. Maybe a lot of you don't care. But again, Ozzy Osbourne, growing up as a teenager, I'm watching TV, MTV, Ozzy Osbourne. He was on there with his music. Love him or hate him. He was an artist. What can you say? Hulk Hogan, right? He was the ultimate in 80s wrestling, right? Do you just remember watching Hulk Hogan on TV? Yeah. 71 years old. I didn't know this. He died from complications from neck surgery. Did not know that. Okay. So they said about July, the end of July, they said the exact date was unclear, the 21st through the 24th. Okay. Malcolm Jamal Warner, remember? From the Huxleys? What was the name of that show? The Cosby Show, right? Yeah. Oh gosh, what a disaster Bill Cosby turned out to be, right? Holy cow. Growing up, who would have thought that he was a complete, I don't know, what's the word? Opposite of what he portrayed on TV? Let's say that. Malcolm Jamal Warner, 54 years old, drowned while trying to save his daughter while they were on vacation just now in July. Chuck Mangione, the jazz player, the jazz musician, right? 84 years old, he passed away. We don't know how. I don't know how anyway. Connie Francis passed away at 86, American pop singer. Remember, she sung "Who's Sorry Now?" I'm not a singer, but can't forget that song, right? She passed away in July. And then Michael Madsen, American actor. If you remember the movies Kill Bill, remember those movies? Or Reservoir Dogs, he was in that. He passed away in July also. Well, we're remembering all of you, and it's just all these people I watched on TV and movies. They're just all passing away now. It's wild. Okay, so let's get into some of this really wild paranormal stuff with Burt Reynolds, since I talked about Lonnie Anderson earlier. Okay, so this is going to center around his oceanfront home. This was located on Ocean Boulevard in Florida. It was sold in late 2021, about 3 years after his death. Apparently, the property is haunted by Burt Reynolds. Yeah, his restless spirit is unwilling to let go of his home. Like, what in the world? So we have this couple, Michael and Stephanie. They buy the house and they immediately experience strange phenomenon. They are reporting. Now, you guys, I don't know if this is a true story. This is information I've gleaned off the internet. I have no way to know if this is true. So let's just keep that in mind, okay? Because I don't know. But apparently, they bought the house. They say there's fluctuating temperatures, creaking doors, flickering lights. They're waking up at exactly 4:12 a.m. to the sound of metallic clinking, like glasses or metallic cups clinking together. Apparently, they're catching apparitions and signs, including a Polaroid of Reynolds appearing mysteriously. a projector playing old home videos of him without any media inserted. Oh, this can't be true. Really? Deep impressions on the bed as if someone had slept there. Oh, this is sad. The smell of cheap cologne. I'm sure he had expensive cologne. Come on. And handwritten notes they're finding saying, "It's still my house. Don't make it cute." I could literally see him saying that, though. Renovation attempts are failing dramatically. Contractors are reporting hearing voices, seeing a man in a red robe, tools moving on their own. The couple that live there say they have vivid dreams of Burt Reynolds in his Smokey and the Bandit costume. They find muddy boot prints and encounters with a grandfather clock that keeps going off at 4:12 a.m. So the events start to escalate. Isn't this bizarre? This is so bizarre. Sorry about this big microphone, but without it, everyone's like, I can't hear you. Yeah, it escalates. Yeah, behavioral changes in the husband. The wife says he's suddenly wearing cowboy boots. They're catching reflections of Burt Reynolds in the mirrors and hearing his voice. Attempts to leave the house result in GPS malfunctions and power outages. So this couple apparently sell this house in June of 2022. So what, they had it less than a year? The new owner, though, has abandoned demolition plans after having similar experiences. Neighbors claim to hear spurs clinking, like spurs on boots, and muttering from the now empty property at night. Okay, this cannot be true. This cannot be true. This cannot be true. Let's be clear. I scraped this information off the internet, and I'm going to call, and I never do this, I'm going to call BS. But I don't think this is true. I don't think this is true. Maybe this was scraped from a fictional story on the internet. I don't think this is true, but would that not make the best movie? Because that's crazy. That is crazy. Whatever. So apparently, though, Burt Reynolds owns several properties that fell into disrepair after his death, like his Florida ranch house and an unused mausoleum that he built in the 1980s. By the way, when Lonnie Anderson was playing Jane Mansfield, when she encountered Jane's ghost in Jane Mansfield's house in her bathroom, actually, that movie was filmed in 1980. I went and watched clips of it, and it's a little wild because, and again, I love Lonnie Anderson, but like how she's portraying Jane Mansfield, I was like, is that how Jane Mansfield was? So then I went and watched clips and movies of Jane Mansfield. She was not like that at all. She was like really intelligent, and her voice was actually a lot deeper. And so I don't know, that was kind of like a bizarre portrayal, but artistic license, right? So anyway, those of you curious about that movie, starring Lonnie Anderson playing Jane Mansfield, that came out in 1980. So yeah, he built this mausoleum, back to Burt Reynolds, in 1980s, and has stood empty for years. So that's interesting. Burt Reynolds is buried at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles. And a lot of people say they visit his grave just out of respect or nostalgia for Smokey and the Bandit, right? And some are seen reading stories to him at his gravesite. That's interesting. I think his last movie, now again, I'm not an expert, but it could have been the 2016 horror thriller called Hollow Creek. I never saw it. Did you guys see it? I never did. Apparently, the characters in this movie, oh, get this, experience paranormal events involving a woman and a man in a haunted setting. Huh. Similar to what this woman and man said they experienced. But again, I'm calling BS on that. I don't think that story's true. Just saying. Because if that story was true, I feel like it would be all over the internet. It'd be, I don't know. I think more of us would know about it. I think that's made up, to be honest. And I didn't know this early in his career. Did you know Burt Reynolds worked as a stuntman? I didn't know that. I guess he was the original stuntman, right? He worked as a stuntman in Ghost Town in the Sky, which was, wait. He was a stuntman at Ghost Town in the Sky, a Wild West theme park in North Carolina? Okay. Wow. Interesting. And apparently they were discovering actors for the movie Deliverance there at that location. Did you ever see the movie with Deliverance with Burt Reynolds? I saw it when I was really young, and I did not. I mean, obviously, as an adult, I can see like what a great movie that was. But like back when I was there, I was like, what? Like shocking scenes. Didn't like it. But now as an adult, it's like, yeah, that was a good movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, never forget that one. All right, so most likely this paranormal, quote unquote, story about Burt Reynolds, I'm going to say this is fiction, urban legend, why can I not talk tonight? Urban legend. I think his larger than life persona has created a lot of stories on the internet. I mean, obviously his abandoned estates and houses and properties, whatnot, maybe lent itself to some spooky tales. Who knows? But here's the thing. There's been no major investigations by like those shows like Ghost Hunters, etc., covering him. So I don't know about that. What do you guys think? Have you ever heard this? I'm going to say it's completely made up. I didn't make it up. It's the stories I found on the internet, which, but the Lonnie Anderson story, again, I found the interview. It's not a video interview. It's a podcast. I had to listen to the whole thing to find the story. It is actually her recounting how she saw the dark shadow in the bedroom and then smelled the perfume. And she said it was Jane Mansfield. That is a true story. So loved that. Okay, everyone. Thanks for being here.